En el estómago o en la cabeza, señor. The gunman asks the hero at the end of the movie, en el estómago o en la cabeza, señor. And this should always be an option for the left. The left should always understand that there's an element of the right. One, now we have absolutely every understanding. Don't give up a single bullet. There's literally nothing about gun control ever again. Gun control is not an issue. There is no Republican who can talk the words gun control and still be a Republican. And what the Republicans need to do is they need to start, there's basically a number of these things that the Republicans, the far right end of politics has to do. One, school shootings and mass shootings are a black thing. We need to prove this by citing the mass shootings and shootings at schools. You see, there's things that they call school shooters. School shooters is apparently an entirely different thing than shootings at schools, which is a black thing. And that is why black schools have metal detectors and most white schools don't, because most white schools don't have a problem with white kids bringing guns to school, while black schools have this problem constantly to this day with metal detectors. They had to have metal detectors in clear backpacks and shit like this, not because of white kids. For all this Klebold and blah 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 here in Oregon, that was like lightning striking, you being on the ocean to see lightning strike next to you. That it was like this one in unbelievable amounts of a chance of there being a shooting. This is a black thing. Around black schools is where the shootings happen, and the press never covers it. And this is why now what a lot of black Americans need to do, who really want to, because what this is help the black people take the guns away from whitey. Take everybody's guns away. Black people can't control themselves. That's what the argument is going to have to be, because it's not an issue outside of that community. The next thing is en el estómago o en la cabeza, señor. You have to then also start approaching what we're starting to find now about all these happy people teachers. The happy people teachers need to understand there's a reason why we used to ban them from teaching. And it looks like we're going to have to possibly again. And that's it. It's not, no. We keep finding that when these people have inordinate amounts of control over children, pornographic material ends up in the libraries of schools, or they're being taught inappropriate material. And then they get upset that the parents find it inappropriate. So these are perverts. These are perverts who are trying to recruit kids. And that gay straight alliances, yes, they are basically pervert clubs. I knew two young people in this area, and sure enough, these are people straight up that they think they're really smart. This was one of these things like that you're kind of like, wow, you really know a lot about this subject or that subject, but applying rational thought to an area that you don't know is very difficult. This is something I caught on to once or twice growing up, but I didn't ever think this was something special. The ability for pattern recognition. that there's people who could remember every name of every dinosaur as a child. They grow up to be a total liberal retard and you don't get it. How did you memorize all that stuff, but now you're a retard? And it's that, yeah, memory is one thing. The ability to apply to determine a pattern, to see the pattern, to determine a pattern, to then extract essentially what one is seeing in this pattern, then apply that essential to the rest of the world through your intellect. Every once in a while I would think, well, that's normal. Everybody does that. And then I find, no, you're literally listening to somebody who is in the nursing program or in the bio program who doesn't understand the way a virus functions. This is a person who doesn't understand that it says on the box clearly that the mask doesn't help against viruses. This is, and that you start to figure out, no, it's that in a lot of liberal America, diplomas and scholastic achievement is really, it's a milling process. And this is one of those things that's like, it's going to be tough as about 10 years goes on and people start to realize, oh, I got milled through school. I never achieved certain real fundamental capacities of, I never reached certain fundamental abilities. Never gained certain kind of basics of knowledge that I should. Never really understood how to research a topic. This is also, I think, a big reason why you're seeing kind of the liberal, the endless schooling of liberals, where they're forever in school. That it's this inability for liberals in general to take off. And that colleges just sort of teach people to forever theorize about things. So this is one of these things, but the Gay Straight Alliance person I saw, some of you will actually know who I am talking about, because you saw a photo of this person. He is actually a meme of communists. It was from years ago in Portland, and he was marching with these communists. And they said, this person asked him something, but he looked so dumb. And I'm like, I could swear that's that kid. And he tried to write some kind of political socio-political play when he was young, about young people and discussing sexuality. And he was one of those people who would wear the polyamorous symbol around, and it was just so sad. It was just so sad to see these two nerds. And that it went from nerd to dork, where they listen to unicorn bands and stuff like that, and pirate dragon rock and stuff. And just as time went on, I just started to realize, I was like, okay, no, you're just typical exurban dorks. And it's, you think there's something special about your liberal super dork hippie upbringing. And a big thing that started to hit me is realizing, okay, this is interesting. This play that this guy's writing, that he was hoping people from the company would watch, it had something to do with the Gay Straight Alliance Club, and that I started to get this distinct understanding. Now I'm like, oh, okay, this kid and their high school were in the Gay Straight Alliance, and it's for people who have shit game. They have shit game. They're weird, and they're weird that they know they don't fit in with people like that, and they're kind of juvenile, underdeveloped in some way, that they're really into things like the Gay Straight Alliance. They have to be. They're and because you meet so many people like this, these young confused people like this, that when you do, you start to realize, like, no, there's a way that they come across that's naive. Now, what's interesting is when they talk to one another, they hate everybody. I've gotten to hear, like, some young Zoomer sexual Americans, and the minute they get the chance, they're on a tear about everybody, about this, the way somebody said this, the way somebody did that. But they don't like all the conservative stuff and everything. But I mean, when it comes down to it, these are people who they cannot find much on a map without it already being written there. They don't know much about international anything. You almost can't find a subject worth knowing that is consequential to life, that they'll end up actually having real concern about. They'll have lots of opinions about somebody like Taylor Swift's albums. Taylor Swift's albums, or a certain TV show. So, one of the things that started to make me really, I was like, no, the only thing that's going to change this is that we basically really have on the right this open mockery of, no, the only people who shouldn't have guns are, black Americans without dads. The only people who shouldn't have guns. No, we should have a massive jobs program for mass deportation. Hire people to go from door to door and find out if there's illegal aliens there and mass deport them. And I'm serious. We need to have a hard, like a right wing that will look somebody in the face and say, yeah, I mean that. What, did I stutter? Are you stupid? Do you speak English? And to talk like that, to really talk like that to people. Yeah, you stupid cow. You got a sheep's head on your shoulders. What, you got cheese in your fucking brain? Where's your hair been last, dummy? Of course I mean that. Of course I mean we should abandon Israel. They're doing fine now. They're doing fine with their neighbors. We should stop funding them. Yeah, I mean that. With your pleated chinos, you dork, because that, of course, would be a rhino. You got to tell Mitt Romney, take your pleated chinos and go back to your gay bar. No, but really, the recruitment of young people by gay teachers now is becoming this, and especially women who obviously they're not far from being chimos, and that those of us who we looked into this, like, because at some point somebody brought up the big list and all this stuff, and it was mostly women. It's that these female school teachers will try to recruit children and molest children and try to recruit students. A lot of, I've even known, I have a good friend who he ended up, after he graduated, saw one of the teachers walking around in the street, and they ended up doing the thing, and it might have been that he actually did. I'm pretty sure he was 18 by that time, but because he left early. After I graduated, he had no reason to be there. Me and all my classmates, he was just like, dude, why am I even here? The only reason I showed up to school was because of all these people who used to be here. And so So you have to make them understand, do you want it in the stomach or do you want it in the head? Because one, you get to watch. You get to watch it all. You get to watch everything fade away. And that's of course what I think that's what you go for. El Estomogo, because El Estomogo, because you really want that effect. You want the effect from seeing, your baby carriage is rolling away. Okay. All right, they see it. And so that you want to have that effect, that political effect, that it's look at it fade, look at the results fade, look at what your efforts were fade, and that's a much better punishment in a way. And because in La Cabeza that doesn't really happen. There's always somebody who is willing to bring back the old movement. There's always a leveler ready to bring back the revolution. And so what you have to do to constantly either keep the revolution going or crush the revolution, it's like what we see in some place like China, and now the endless revolution and what it's having to do to Europe to maintain itself. And here they weren't able to do it. They weren't able to do it because we had the real revolution. There's the real republic. And the Marxists and all those kind of people are phonies. They're just a bunch of people looking to be ruled by a Caesar who goes by some name they prefer. They'll vote on it by committee. They'll vote on what their masters will be called by committee. They'll call them ma'am. He's an amazing ma'am. I mean, she. Please don't report me. Don't report me to the authorities. Oh, Hair Ma'am. Dr. Hair Ma'am is looking magnificent. 6'2" and wears a dress. Wow, what a woman. So, the other one was, and the next is traitors. That we just make it, like we make it obvious. No, we think you're a traitor. Those of us who are on the right, we think you betrayed the country. And you make these fucking polite pleated chino conservatives, you make them have to deal with you saying, I think Mitt might be a fucking traitor. I think fucking McCain was a fucking traitor. How about that? And you make them get nervous and say, oh, you can't say that about, he was a war hero. And he was, and you go, fuck you and your pleated chinos. Are you done sucking that dick? Because I don't want to watch it. I don't like stuff like that. I did not come here to watch you suck John McCain's dead dick. And you talk like that, and eventually this sort of polite end of the Republicans will start getting it. Because they're starting to, and they're getting better at this. But you still see it, you'll still see it on Twitter. And it really needs to be this kind of thing that the polite end of the Republicans needs to understand. I get that you guys have a dream of La Cabeza, that you will reach their minds. No. El Estomogo. El Estomogo.